Question number 5, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Tertiary Education, Skills and Employment. Does he agree with John Key, who said when announcing the Youth Guarantees policy that, quote, "The bottom line is this: the days of 16 and 17-year-olds being able to leave school and drift along aimlessly while being financially supported by the government are at an end," end quote?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, absolutely yes. The Youth Guarantee Scheme was introduced commencing in 2010 to address the problem of young people leaving school with low achievement and destined to be NEET and in receipt of a benefit from age 18. It was significantly expanded in 2012 when the ineffective youth training program was absorbed into the scheme. The purpose of that change was to give the youth training students a stronger focus on educational achievement as well. It has been very effective in improving educational achievement at Level 2 NCEA. It is also, along with other programs, improving employment outcomes. More young people are achieving NCEA Level 2 than ever before, while young people aged 15 to 19 not in education, employment or training are at the lowest levels on record, while NEETs overall are back to pre-global financial crisis levels at, yes, September 2008 actually.
Question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Did the latest monitoring report of the policy find that participants in the fees-free scheme are more likely to end up on benefits after completing the program? If so, does he think that the days referred to by the Prime Minister over 8 years ago are now at an end?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, no. In terms of the fees-free side, there hasn't been a big increase in terms of employment of that 2012 cohort, but it is important to know that that report was done in 2014 and only takes into account the employment considerations for the 2012 cohort, which was the first year that it was transferred from youth training to youth guarantee. In terms of the educational achievement, we've seen a significant lift in that. In terms of the employment achievement, it's probably a little bit early, but we also want to see that lift over time.
Question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Did the evaluation find that the young people participating in the program were more or less likely to end up on a benefit as a result of participating in the program?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I understand it was about the same.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Has he read the line in the report that states, quote, "Any difference in outcomes between these groups can be attributed to the program"? If so, does he think that an additional 2,020 young people receiving benefits, 869 more NEETs and 440 fewer people in full employment are good outcomes?
Again, there's 2 supplementary questions there. The Minister can address
Well,
either.
Mr Speaker, what I know about that report is it actually underlines the increase in educational achievement at NCEA Level 2. And the member can try and ignore that if he wishes, but that is the primary aspiration of that scheme, is to lift NCEA Level 2 achievement, because we all know that if you get at least NCEA Level 2, you can do better in the future. In terms of employment, frankly, the member is way too early because it relates only to the first year of youth training. He should wait and see how it goes. And anyway, NEETs are now at their lowest level, 15 to 19, than they've ever been.
Supplementary question, Dr. Jan Yang.
Yeah, what new steps is government taking to ensure more young people? Sorry, start again.
Yeah. Order. Every member has a right to ask a question. Dr.
What
Jan Yang.
new steps is the government taking to ensure more young people are engaged in education and training?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, as indicated in the primary answer to this question, the government is making good progress in reducing the number of disengaged young people, with more young people achieving NCEA Level 2 than ever before, and NEET rates, particularly 15 to 19-year-olds, at the lowest percentage levels that we've ever had, right back till 1989. So we now see an opportunity to do more And this week, Education Minister Hipkins and I announced a new youth guarantee program, secondary tertiary program called Dual Pathways, alongside the other programs. This will allow students to be enrolled part-time both in secondary school at years 12 and 13 and part-time in either tertiary education or industry training. That will allow more young people to fully explore career options while they're still enrolled at school and get a head start on the skills employers are looking for. It's the latest in a number of programs which are serving to bring NEET levels to record lows.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
So is the Minister seriously arguing that if participation in the fees-free scheme increases a young person's likelihood of achieving NCEA level 2, but increases also their likelihood of ending up on a benefit, that that's a successful outcome?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, again, for the members' benefit, let me take him through the cohorts that are measured in that report. So those cohorts relate to 2010, 2011 and 2012. The 2012 cohort for the first time picked up the failing youth training scheme, which wasn't even delivering educational outcomes, it was delivering nothing. And that program came into Youth Guarantee in 2012. We now have the educational achievement to show for it, and we are also, through the NEET numbers, seeing the lowest numbers of 15 to 19 NEETs than we have ever seen since the series began in 1989.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
So is he seriously arguing that students are better off having participated in a program, being forced to participate in a program by the government, that makes them more likely to end up on a benefit at the end of it?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, well, firstly, nobody's forced to participate in the scheme. They're not forced to participate. Nobody is forced to participate in Youth Guarantees fees-free, but they are achieving educational outcomes at NCEA level 2 that will last their entire lives. I think that's an excellent outcome for those young people, and the member can poo-poo it if he likes, but I know young people who are very proud of achieving level 2 NCEA when they dropped out at school at 14, turned up at fees-free youth guarantee and now have their NCEA level 2. To me, that's worth a lot for those students.
That's right.
Order. Order.